Cliff, I mean, I'm kind of rehashing the story more for the audience and, the where I'm going to take it. No, you don't know about, but obviously, we're in communication about, every day. So, what's going on in my life. So, coming back from the event in St. Louis, I don't announce my, what's going on in my personal life, but in this case, I think it's important.
And just so you guys know, Kevin was out in St. Louis with the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. Kyle Bigsby was riding his bike from Boston to Coronado, California, San Diego area. And Kevin went to St. Louis to help support the event. They had he stopped there in St. Louis and was doing an event. That's the event that Kevin's talking about. And, it was a good event, pretty emotional.
Right.
So, all the times I tell people all the time, you never know when you're going to get triggered, right? Or when something's going to show up and happen that's going to, affect you. And I think this is what Kevin's going to talk about, is something that happened in St. Louis that affected him on his way home. And I just want to say, Kevin, I appreciate you sharing your story or sharing this story, because I think it will definitely help others, because, we've all been through and we've all gone through that. So with that, I'll just be quiet
now. No, actually, and that's the reason, because what I did, as Cliff, is I just held off having this conversation with you. This is just how Cliff and I roll. This is the kind of people I've surrounded myself that has made me better. But what I was going through had to be going through. So anyway, I'm coming back from this, meeting, the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation team. Great team. There's a reason why we're partnered with them. The Maddox family, which may be one of the most humbling experiences in my life. I met the entire Maddox family, the Gold Star family, who I'm going to do my very best to get them on our show. Shortly. The world needs to hear what they have to say, and how they've turned tragedy into just beyond resiliency, going out in the community and making their community better in the face of unsurmountable tragedy.
Well, and I think for a lot of Gold Star families, I don't think they ever get the opportunity to. Maybe some of them don't want to, but there's some out there that really want to take that tragedy and that death and make their son or daughter, known, or do something special with it, since they were taken away from them, unfortunately. And I think sometimes Gold Star families don't get the credit that they deserve, when their sons and daughters gave the ultimate sacrifice. And that's not just with the recent wars, that's throughout all of American history. I think, they're overlooked, and, it's really sad. And if you go back to, what was the movie that Tom Hanks did with the fifth brother? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine, being the one that got out of there. It's just amazing. But yeah, I mean, to meet them, I look forward to hopefully get them on the show and talk about everything they've done. And
I'm not much of a producer if I can't produce them on the mental health warrior.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's and above everything else, I survived a whole weekend with Trigger Joe Gridson, so that, that's always helpful. But so I was coming.
I need to get both you guys on here to talk about that weekend.
Coming home, feeling pretty good. We'd accomplished a lot. It was hard work, but get a phone call from my wife informing me that my employer, Cater North America, I mean, I got nothing to hide. They should have nothing to hide. Fired me during my rehabilitation from knee surgery. Their reason was they made a mistake. They at the end of the day, they made a mistake in that they fired me. It shows you how crappy they are that they would fire somebody on disability, but legally they made a mistake because they lumped me. When I say lump me, and they categorized me as FMLA, when I told them from the beginning this was an Americans with Disabilities situation as a disabled veteran. And that's who determined when I would return to work, kept them in the loop. They decided to fire me. I said, did you take that into consideration? They didn't. They panicked. They did something called rescinded my termination, which I've 32 years of machinist. That's the first time I've ever had it. Maybe that's the equivalent of, a ball player getting sent down to the minors for a day. I don't know. At least they still have a job. But, me being me, I'm not rescinded or not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I live my life based on loyalty. Those that deserve my loyalty, meaning they give that same respect. They get every bit of it I got, and that includes an employer. But at the age of 56, what they've shown me is that my loyalty. I'm not speaking for everybody, but my loyalty does not belong to somebody I punch a clock for. But the whole point of that story is I've dealt with my own mental health challenges and all those events coming at me like that, recovering from surgery, getting fired, having to go through the process of looking for a job, not finding a job because I can find a job, but it weighs on you as it typically would. But before I got some tools in my kit bag, meaning first thing I did was surround myself with veteran trash talkers, got that tighter knit circle, communicate with them. I've sought out professional help, which has been so enlightening. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk more. I'd like to talk more about that with Casey, my therapist. She's agreed to.
That's one thing I talk about with people, Kevin, that, okay, so one thing I talk about with PTSD, right? If you watch Mental Health Warrior, and we bring this up all the time, it never happens when good shit's going on, right? It's always going to slip in when bad shit happens.
Right.
Kevin, I know you struggled a little bit with your knee surgery. You love your manufacturing job that you had. You were very good at it. I have no doubt that they probably will realize in the short term they made a huge mistake. But as he tells his story and goes on, you will see that it really worked out for him. And I just bring up that point to say, just because everything's dark and gloomy and yucky now, it can change in a heartbeat. And you just got to realize that. And you just got to kind of really stay focused and move forward. But sometimes you just need somebody, a professional, to help you get through that time.
Right.
And Kevin brought up a good point that he's seen a therapist. I've seen therapists. I have no issues with any type of therapist or going and seeing him. I'm like an old car. I just need a tune-up every now and then. And sometimes they can give you a different type of tools, or sometimes it's just good to sit and talk with somebody who is non-judgmental or who just wants to listen or something like that. And we all have friends that we can call and talk to. They don't have to be a professional, but you bring up a good point there, Kevin. And I think that to say that really would probably mean a lot to a lot of our listeners out there that, hey, there's this, this big burly Scottish guy. He's going and seeing a therapist.
Even us Scots need a wee bit of professional help from
but that's important, because I think sometimes as men, right, we don't do that. I'm tell you right now, I go see therapists. I talk about my feelings, but that doesn't make me a weak man.
Right.
You think me a weak man and come stand in my face, and you'll find out very quick that I'm not. That's right. Anybody in the military, we get that, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to that whole episode when we were talking about, you and I, and when I was in California, when that one customers were being, hateful to the waitress.
Yeah, that was horrible.
There's no reason for that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, if anything, it just makes you more level-headed, and helps you move forward. But I'll go ahead and
no, absolutely no.
Story, because I just thought that was a great point to bring up.
And your input's well received, and it's pertinent to what I'm saying, because I am new to the therapy, and for me, it wasn't the stigma of going to therapy. It basically comes down to not realizing that what happened to me was childhood trauma, and that I was one of those guys that, because I didn't repeat the behavior, I thought, that didn't have an effect on me, which is completely ridiculous. So that's what I've been dealing with. But during this episode, a couple things were different. Because when I wasn't seeking mental health counseling, I'm always searching for what is it that's bothering me, and somehow it's given me the ability to key in on what's in front of me. Let's focus what's in front of me. So what I realized was, I think this is what being depressed feels like. Okay, I'm depressed, and I'm medicated like most veterans, and I'm thankful for it. I'm very thankful for it. Gives me I call it my pause button. But for the first time in the not close to 20 years, I'm sorry if my wife's listening, I'll get it right one of these days. But I just started a conversation with her by saying, I think I'm depressed. Dude,
did she say, what makes you think you're depressed?
no, and I wasn't expecting this reaction and the reason is because I'm remembering the just saying those words. It took the power of the unknown away. Like I said, is that all I had to do for the last 55 years was say, I think I'm depressed, and I get a release, or at least open up a door to a conversation. So, I'm not expecting my wife to cure what ails me. And her response was quite simply, I'm sorry, you think that's where you're at. If there's anything I can do, it was great. We've just learned a lot over the last 6 months. I'm not going to, speak to what she's been doing. That's her personal business. But anyway, so then, like you said, so what we're talking about is resilience. Yeah, I'm depressed. I'm like, okay, talk to Casey, my therapist, next time you see her, which was say, in a week or so, right? Well, in that week, I've been communicating, with Joe Britson, Trigger Joe Britson, who had just started working for one of our sponsors, one of our newest sponsors, Fleet Techs.
What was that? Leak?
Excuse me?
What was the company again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Fleet Techs.
Oh, Fleet Techs. Okay,
Fleet
I thought you said
Techs.
Leak Techs. I was like, what?
Fleet Techs.
Fleet Tech. Okay.
What they're doing is, as you can imagine, 3G is disappearing. The owner, Ryan Pauls, is had a company for the last 14 years, working for major players in the market, installing GPS tracking systems. As you know, every fleet vehicle needs them. So with everything being upgraded to 4G, there's a great demand, and Ryan, through his relationship with Joe Britson and his employing veterans in the past, he wants, he going forward only wants to hire veterans because he likes, as you can imagine, the result. Short version of this, pretty complicated long story is an opportunity was presented to me at the age of 56 years and after 32 years of being a machinist, to go and become my own boss, to no longer have to give my loyalty to that person who pays me a paycheck and doesn't even care about me when I'm not there, no matter what they say. Those days are over in America. They just are. Trust me, it's unfortunate. But the point, the reason I'm bringing this forward is it's that word that all the people in the Veteran Trash Talk community, they've been doing this a little bit longer than those of us that are just kind of getting in the self-help pipeline. Yeah. And I'll tell you that word is resiliency, and all resiliency really means, deal with what's right in front of you and shit will happen. The shit that's meant to happen. There's been no divine intervention. There's been no magic other than me creating a kit bag full of tools to now manage, I don't even say if it's manage, but, point myself in the right direction, and not let these things that would typically pile up and then I'm shut down for a month.
Well, no, I think manage is the right word, because you have to learn to manage the little stuff so it doesn't become big stuff, right? And when the little stuff starts piling up, that's when PTSD starts creeping back in.
Right.
And so if you can manage the stuff at this level, obviously it's going to be a lot better than once it gets up to here. But I mean, and then once you're up to that point, you can work yourself back down and make it more manageable.
Right.
Once you start dealing with your depression and realizing, where it came from. And, if you guys, you watch our program with, her name just slipped. Is it Rhonda? I'm sorry.
Rachel?
No, Rachel. Yeah.
I'm gonna call her Rhonda.
I keep calling her Rhonda. I call her Rhonda. I think.
Help me, Rhonda.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Good song. Yeah. But
you'll sing that for the rest.
Yeah, I know, right? Thanks a lot. But one thing she talked about is that when you have childhood trauma, and however that is, that when you start dealing with what you're dealing with now, you have to go back and take those layers off.
For sure.
Right. and deal with it. And of course, everybody's different. She's a life coach, and she came on the show twice and talked about that. And I think for a lot of people, they don't realize that, right? They think, hey, it happened in the past. It's the past. I don't need to think about it. It's not going to bother me no more. When in reality, if you don't fix that, especially as a child, you're going to go back to that. And I think, I think a lot of people just don't realize that. And a lot of people do realize that, and they don't get help because they don't want to go back and deal with the pain of their childhood.
Right.
And a lot of times I think that stops people from going and getting therapy and getting help, is because of that fear of having to go back and revisit something that you wanted to forget. But if you're with a good therapist, and they will take you on that journey where it's not as painful as you think it will be. The biggest pain is just going to be going in and admitting, like you said, hey, I'm depressed, or hey, I have this. And then you realize it wasn't that hard, right? Sometimes as men, we get things put in our head and think it's hard to talk about our feelings and stuff. And you realize it isn't that hard. But you take one little brick out or one little chip in this, and you just start chipping away at that mountain. And before long, it becomes a flat road.
Well, what you notice is, like, because I talk to anybody, but just because I talk to anybody in the past doesn't necessarily mean I've shared with people, you know what I'm saying? So I think what you notice when you go down this road, first with my brothers and sisters and the VTT family, and then, through professional counseling, is that you feel that load starting to lighten, and that can get kind of addictive. So I could honestly say I might be a little addicted to good mental health, and I plan on it sure beats the alternative, Cliff, that. But at the end of the day, I'm not looking to be happy 24/7. That's unrealistic. That's not life. So I would honestly say I went into depression for pretty close to 4 weeks, right? Just my version of that now, which is not what it used to be. I just went, off radar. I'm sure some people, those that.
So do you think? I know I know the answer to this, but I want you to say it.
Sure. For the audience, absolutely.
Were you hurt when that company got rid of you, terminated you?
Come on. Even though ego's a thing,
really
bro.
Enjoyed that job.
No, see, here's the thing, Cliff, is I've been a machinist for 32 years. I'm good at it. Never really enjoyed it, but I've always been a professional. I've always excelled at it because that's just what you're supposed to do for an employer, Yeah. In this case, I did a lot for him. I mean, I did things that I didn't have to do. I mean, I built them a machine shop. That's part of what makes no sense to me, Ketter. What you gonna do with that $200,000 machine shop that nobody knows how to run? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it still stung. It absolutely stung. And I think it stung. It stung because people had been telling me for years, "Oh, you wait and see. They're dirty. They're dirty." Again, that they can come and sue me because their record is there. If that it goes that route. If they want to take me to court to talk about that time they broke the law firing a disabled veteran, I'd be glad to do it.
Yeah, they won't do that.
We're
just having a conversation. Opinions are our own and only our own. So
for sure. But the point of the matter is you know what? I mean, I'm sure back in the past I would have had all those, let's face them, insane thoughts, not insane actions. You can have insane thoughts without insane actions.
Yeah.
I didn't have those this time. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. What do I do next? It doesn't mean I'm not going to be depressed for all trying to determine what to do next. But when I got to Casey, the cool thing was I was able to tell her the whole story that included, the following Monday, I was going to Ohio to work with Trigger Joe and Ryan for the first time, which was absolutely an incredible experience all the way around. We were installing GPS trackers in the vehicles that disabled adults' homes use. So, all these beautiful people come pouring out, and we'd be doing some high-fiving, hugging. Someone talked about my tattoos or what, and that, I kind of came up with a line for them because they were scheduled every half hour, meaning the vans. they'd roll up, someone ask what I'm doing. I'm saying, well, they don't want to lose you. I said, they're kind of worried this dude right here might steal you. So I'm making sure they can't steal you.
It's funny.
It was just a very, very, very humbling experience. And I'll like to say a footnote on that. And out of everything I've said today, I hope this gets heard. I could tell that those young adults, some older, at different levels of mental, physical challenges that they faced on a daily basis. You could tell talking to a stranger that was engaging with them was the highlight of their day. And I think that's fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. It's great. I'm glad I could do that for them. But I think it's so fucking wrong that it's, I get that it may be hard. What do I say? Just be yourself, man. What do you say to anybody that wants to engage you on the street? Do you turn away? Do you look away? No, you don't look away. Yeah. Look them in the eye and talk to them about what they want to talk about. So what?
Yeah.
If it's not, do the right thing.
And if you watch the episode in California, it's just like the waitress, I engaged her in conversation and completely changed her mindset, but I don't know if I talked about this, but I used to work in a nursing home.
No, I didn't.
When I was going to college, I worked the night shift, 11 to 7. And as a nurse's aide, because I thought I was wanted to go to school to be a nurse, and then I realized I wasn't nurse material, not at all. But I tell you what, I enjoyed working in a nursing home because most of the residents were sleeping at that time. But there was one old gentleman, his name was Gabe, and I don't remember his last name. And he used to run I grew up in a small town of Warren, Missouri. You guys know that if you watch podcasts. And he used to be the bank president there when the bank was downtown. And this was back in the 30s, and 40s. And it was just amazing to sit there at night when I had time, because he was up at night. He stayed up late at night, and he probably had done that his whole entire life. And I would just sit in there and take, not a long time, 10 minutes, but I would have a conversation with him. And just really enjoyed listening to his stories and those things. And he wasn't, his family came and visited him and stuff like that. So, he wasn't, like just dumped off in the nursing home. But it was nice to sit and listen and kind of get those stories of people, it's pretty amazing to listen to somebody else's life, and to do that. But yeah, that was probably the most humbling job. And the hardest job that I had was to work as a nurse's aide in a nursing home. So it's tough. My hats go out to people who do that and do that work and take care of the elderly. I think it's just as important as taking care of children.
It is.
Because we're all here because somebody put us on this planet, on this earth. And so we're very lucky for that. And so sometimes I think it's forget. So I'm sure they had a lot of good time. Did you bust out with the Scottish accent while you were talking with them?
No, I thought that'd be taking things just a little too far for everybody on my first job. I think maybe I did when it was just the Ryan, the boss. I think I might have busted it out a little bit, but yeah. So when I got to Casey and told her everything, about starting the job. What was pretty cool at the end of the day was we both agreed that I was just the right enough amount depressed. It was a balance to what was going on in my life, in other words. And maybe that's the key, but I think we have the ability to keep that balance. I think we're the ones, when we don't have those tools or choose not to use them, maybe those tools are medication, got off your meds. That's you not using a tool you have, right? So a lot of times we choose not to embrace that balance. And I think it's through that balance that we can deal with what's in front of us. And that's what creates resiliency, and good shit happens.
Yeah.
This is what Big Earl, if I sent all this in a text to VTT's Big Earl, he would call this a manifesto. You know what?
Is that what it was?
That says Celtic Warrior Mental Health Manifesto #1.
There you go. Heard it here. #1. Now, when this is airing, you have to write that out in the comments.
Catch up.
So now you got to remember it.
That's it. I'm talking to HR.
Yeah, you go ahead and give them a call. It's 1-800 don't give a shit. That's our HR department.
Cliff. Yeah. So, and Cliff and I have said for months, in a short period of time, Cliff and I have become great friends, brothers, friends. He's my confidant, he is the mental health warrior. So why would I not use what's right in front of me? But the whole point is I've said many, many times, the conversations veterans have, or it could be every veteran conversation, I believe, could be a standalone podcast. They have that much to offer. And I think and hope that's what the VTT community is doing for veterans is giving them a platform to not only help, but be helped in their time of crisis, or as a community, let's get to it before it becomes a crisis. That's our hope.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing. That's why we all do what we do. Is we want to get a person before they get to that point where they think there's no hope. The sun's never going to shine, or you don't want to see the sun, you don't want to see the moon. I get that. People know who watch the podcast knows that I got as close to that as you can without succeeding. And I don't ever want anybody to go down that same path. And that's why we all do what we do at different levels, to go out and talk. And everybody with the Veteran Trash Talk Network is just to try to tell people, hey, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to have screwed up days where you're just mentally crap. And it's okay to have that. But once you start going down that path, you have to put stop signs up to stop you from keep going down that wrong way. And that's why we're here and doing what we're doing, is to try to give people that moment, that second, to take a breath, to think about it, to logically look at it. Here you are going to St. Louis to support Veterans Trash Talk and Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. You're recovering from your knee surgery, you get fired from your job. That's devastating for anybody, right? But what did you do with that? You kept moving forward. You let that bother you for a moment. Like, it would bother anybody. Let's just say this, bother. But a better opportunity came up, right? And so it's just like when I talked about when I was refratted out of the military and I was up for promotion and everything, and people in the military didn't like me speaking out against mental health. What I didn't realize is I was done with the military. I didn't realize it, And so it was just God saying, you're not going to go that path anymore. You're going this way, bro.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's going to be. And it's turned out better, and so, yeah, I can be upset because I didn't get promoted to W5, but I was there. I was number one on the list. I just needed the general to sign the paperwork, but hey, he didn't like me talking about mental health and suicide. But you know what? If I save one life, who gives a shit about a promotion? That's way more important than a job, promotion, or whatever else. To me, it's more important. So I didn't care. Because when they told me to quit doing it and toe the line, I told them to screw off, because I was a warrant officer. And I did what I thought was best for my troops and soldiers underneath me and people who I didn't even know, to go out and tell and talk to that story. And so everything always works out in the end, right? It may not seem like at that time, but if you hang around long enough and you stick with it and you get good tools in your toolbox and you get good people around you, you can accomplish just about anything. They always say, if you want to know why you're not successful, look at the people that are around you.
That's it. And that also includes that veteran ability to be alone.
Yeah.
You're only, in those cases, you're only going to be as good as where you're at in the moment. And let's face it, that's not always a good place to be, even for the best of us.
Yep. Hey, Mental Health Warriors, I want to thank you for tuning in to the first Kevin and Cliff episode. Kevin, I want to say thank you for sharing the thoughts you had in St. Louis. I know that if you're a veteran out there and you're looking for a job, give Fleet Tech a call. I think we have that. We can put that contact information on the show if we need to. I have no issues with that. Sure. They do hire veterans. Kevin just attested to that. He's just started that job and he's really enjoyed it. And I know Joe works there.
Yeah.
And so
That's the only drawback. I had to work with Joe for a week, but I just put the earbuds
I mean, you
in.
had hair up until the time you met Joe. So I mean,
Joe is we are Twinkies when it comes to work ethic, man.
I bet.
Hey, and we're paratroopers, so
yeah, there you go.
It's just and that was, I know we're getting sidetracked, but that was great. I've been sitting on my ass in a chair for 5 months. I'm going out into 90-degree humidity and heat. And I looked at my wife and I said, well, there's one thing I can't do, no matter what it feels like. I can't complain because I've been telling this bitch I'm airborne for the last 2 years. Now
that's right. That's right. Now the roosters come to roost.
I showed him, buddy. I showed him. Anyway.
Well, you guys have a great night, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.